Greetings, everyone, and welcome to IGN Arena Episode 10.
You're not Leah.
I'm not Leah.
Where's Leah? Actually, I know where Leah is.
We know where Leah is. Can we say where Leah is?
I don't know.
We probably shouldn't.
Not for a couple weeks.
Leah Jackson has moved on from IGN.com. She's no longer the host of
She's died.
IGN Arena. She is not dead. Fortunately, Leah has an amazing new opportunity. We'll talk more about that soon. But for now, I am your new host. We'll figure out who's going to take control of this. But for now, I am Mitch Dyer.
By the way, to clarify, she's dead to me.
Oh, yeah. Well,
because she moved out and took her dog.
oh, my God.
You got a picture of her dog's butt.
Yep.
That was on Twitter.
I now
saw
have no corgi in my apartment when I get home.
What do you even have to live for anymore, Brian
Nothing.
Albert?
Nothing.
Well, for a week, we lived for pork knuckle and beer.
Right.
Burr.
We will get to that. James Faulkner. But before then, let's introduce Kyle O'Connor. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
You're
back,
now
guys.
permanent.
Oh,
I think you are replacing me.
You're the new Leah.
No, I'm the new Leah. He's the new me.
He's in Leah's
He's
seat.
in Leah's seat. This is deeply confusing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
We all
confused.
changed
I'm
seats.
glad to be
I'm
back,
usually
though,
over there.
That's for sure.
Can I be the new Brian? Can I be the strong guy?
Yeah, be Brian.
All right.
I think. Well, then who's Brian going to be?
James.
And who's
Yeah,
James
James.
going to be?
I mean, we're
Kyle.
pretty interchangeable because we're both like
blowing my
white
mind.
and blonde.
It's getting-
Except for I'm not strong.
But you have awesome facial hair.
True.
These are the traits of the IGN Arena cast. James, Brian, you just got back from Germany. Cologne, Germany, where Gamescom 2014 went down.
Mhm.
Many announcements were made. We can get to a particular one soon. But I want to know more about what was the MOBA situation in Germany.
Whoa.
How do the Europeans feel about MOBAs right now?
They like it a lot.
They like the MOBAs.
We were right next to League of Legends, and it was
The ridiculous booth?
It was huge.
always is.
I'll post a picture on Twitter of the Baron.
Yeah, the Baron statue.
It was incredible. It was huge. It was like probably like 20, 30 feet tall, and it was just like would flash and do all this, shoot up these crazy lights.
That's amazing.
Also, Germany has no noise laws, by the way. So there's no noise ordinance. So it's loud. It's all hell in there because it's a bunch of different booths, and they're all like, no, we're just gonna play loud music.
Yep.
All day long.
Who can be louder?
IGN's booth was surrounded by
Wargaming.
League.
Yeah.
And then like Wargaming had World of Tanks going on. And then there was an NVIDIA booth with crazy like weird concert things going on.
Yeah, they had like scheduled things where it would like people would come out with t-shirts on stage and they go woo and like throw stuff, and it was awful.
Sounds horrendous.
I played some MOBAs.
You did. I saw you had at least 2 previews go up. One for Dawngate, one for Arena of Fate.
Correct.
Are those the only 2?
Those are the only 2 that I played.
Okay.
And then there was the big Smite announcement.
Which we'll get to. We're going to talk mostly about Smite a little bit. But you played Arena of Fate and Dawngate.
Yeah. Actually, I did not play more Arena of Fate. I played Arena of Fate at E3, and this was just sort of an
Got
entry,
it. So
but
this was
I
like a
played
follow-up.
Dawngate.
Yeah,
This
but
is the
we
first time I
played
played
Arena.
Dawngate.
We played Arena of Fate as well
Right.
before. The game is really cool. So is Dawngate, actually.
Yeah. So Dawngate is really neat. The thing that sort of the angle of the preview that I had is it was great. The game's developer, Dave Serra, was like doing this presentation, and he was like, "We think Dota and League are awesome." And like he was just genuinely into it, talking to me like a guy who plays MOBAs.
It's amazing how
That's
into it
awesome.
they are, right? Like they're very open about the fact that they never say like whenever Riot talks about competition, they just say the competition
right.
or
People
whatever,
will
right?
shy away. Like the whole, you know, I love what's going on with Advanced Warfare, but I've never heard anyone talk about Titanfall.
Yeah.
When talking about exoskeleton
Sure.
powers, but he was just like, no, like here's a system that's awesome in Dota that works for Dota. That's way too hard for most people to get. Here's how we're going to use that. You know, like denying your creeps in Dota hurts the enemy's experience and their goal.
Yeah.
It hurts their economy. It's like hard to know that even exists in that game. So they like made it an element of the map where you can go sort of destroy like their factories. It's just really neat to see that they're paying attention. You know, obviously those games are doing it right, but they're gonna try and make it their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did we learn about Arena of Fate at Gamescom? Anything new?
Just this huge focus on making it like a more of like an easily digestible sport.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, we're not here to tell you that I think his thing was like the angelic orb of whiteness will increase your HP or whatever. He's just like, when you get your stats, like this one just says like more health or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to break down those barriers. That's what they're doing. They're also kind of making it feel like you're performing, like you're an eSports star or whatever. You know, it shouldn't just be reserved for the top players. Like the arena will change and grow from like almost a backyard to more of like a almost sort of Coliseum type of thing. And there's like fans shouting and
Doing the Smash Brothers things of going Ike.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
That's cute.
No, that's not in there. I think that would be.
That'd be so good.
I
they
haven't
chant
seen-
things.
Oh, there are.
that's
I was
awesome.
joking.
I thought they did.
I
don't know if they chant
I haven't
that.
seen it, so I was just joking.
Oh, anyway.
The more you know.
Yeah.
So that was the 2 things that Brian saw at Gamescom. You can go read about those on IGN.com.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest announcements from the show for us on Arena is that Smite is coming to Xbox One. And what I want to know from you, Brian, is what do you think about this? Because we've talked a lot about MOBAs coming to consoles. We talk a lot about how we're going to start seeing more of them. And this is finally like, it's finally happening. It's really happening, guys.
Yeah.
And not in like the capacity we've had before where it's Guardians of Middle-earth and Awesome Nods and games that are kind of MOBAs but scaled down.
They're all
Diet
they're all
MOBAs.
sort of like standing at the edge of the water and like looking at each other.
Yeah.
Like, you go, you first.
But this
And
is
then
this is the first big step. It's a MOBA that we've talked about on the show. We've played it. It's different and it seems well fitted for consoles, but it is not like we're going to try to do MOBAs for consoles. It's like, no, they're taking this game and putting it on a console.
The reason why I have so much more faith in this than I would say like you got League on consoles is the perspective, the behind the shoulder perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's played third person. It kind of looks like you're playing Gears or something
Right.
like that. It doesn't rely on like the isometric top down. You're like clicking, moving around the screen with a cursor sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I think this is like a great jumping in point.
The skill shots are all very like visually represented on screen
Right,
within like terms where you're like, oh, there's a bar that goes out this far. That's how long my skill shot is.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And like you were saying, this isn't like some game with MOBA elements. This is a 3-lane MOBA with towers.
Yep.
This is a MOBA.
Yeah.
So, real talk. Kyle, you going to play this?
Oh, I'm gonna play the hell
You're
out
gonna play
of
it?
Yeah, I'm
For
gonna
real?
buy it probably day one, and I'm
Okay.
gonna play it a lot. Yeah.
I like it's the thing. Like, will this yank me from Dota? No, it's not going to yank me from
Sure.
Dota. But like, I like that game. I will play it on a console mainly out of curiosity to see how it translates.
Fair enough.
Do you think it's gonna be free to play on console?
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
Or they'll do some sort of package like you pay the $50 and you just get everything right.
That
off the
could be
bat.
it too, right? I just wonder how that relates to the PC economy. If the PC has its economy that is very similar to League of Legends, where I think you can build in-game currency or you can buy skins or characters outright. If you can just do that on console, why can't you just do that on PC?
I think Smite actually has a feature where you can just buy everything and everything to come.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. So
That's a good way to do it then.
yeah, I like it because. I mean, it's awesome. I spend so much money on League buying skins and champions.
I know that well.
If they had just said, like, oh, here's $80 or $60 or $50, and you can get all the champs and any skin you want. Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Done.
I would buy.
Yep.
I would spend that money immediately. I would have saved $80 by now.
Which is why they don't do it.
Yeah. We got an email from Howie about this. Howie is close to level 30 in Smite. And he says, with the announcement of Smite coming to Xbox One, I've been very excited, but also very worried. Will I be able to use my Hi-Res account, Hi-Res being the developer, from the PC and continue it on the Xbox, or will I have to start again? I would hate to start again, and I'm sure many other dedicated Smite players would agree. I haven't played a ton of Smite. If Dota came to consoles and I couldn't carry over my level and my items, I would go ballistic. So we reached out, we talked to Hi-Res and tried to get an idea of what that relationship looks like. Chief Operating Officer Todd Harris told us, quote, it will be separate servers and separate queues between PC and Xbox One, so players won't be able to play together. PC players and Xbox One players will not play together. In terms of transferring a player account level or mixing purchases and unlocks, we have not announced anything yet, which is very helpful. They're still in discussions with Microsoft around what is possible both technically and in terms of policy. I mean, it might just be something with Microsoft where whatever systems they're using with Microsoft, whatever Hi-Res is using with Microsoft, just isn't compatible with unifying those accounts.
So the TLDR, we don't know.
Yeah, shrug. They don't know, apparently. Which I feel like is like a non-answer because I'm sure they do. I feel like the short answer of this is no. That's what it seems like to me.
I can't blame Howie if he says, sorry, not playing on Xbox One.
Yeah, I wouldn't
especially if
blame
you have
him
to
either.
buy stuff again.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
no
No.
way.
Not paying
Why would
twice.
I do that? Like if I have levels and I get better drops and I have more characters, and I have more skins on PC. Why would I ever play this on 360 or Xbox One?
It would have to be something massive like everyone I play with is now playing on that system or something like that.
The one thing I'm a little bit scared about is how much they're going to be able to keep up parity between like Xbox One, because we saw with like Team Fortress. Team Fortress is a completely different beast than it was when it launched with the orange box.
I mean, at this point on Xbox 360 and PS3, it is a different game than it is on PC.
Same with Minecraft.
That too,
was
absolutely,
very
yes.
far
And that's
behind.
like IGN recently started re-reviewing games because of that.
Yeah.
You did Minecraft, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a good example. I think we just recently redid League of Legends as well.
Yes.
I'll be very curious to see how that works. But now, like with Xbox One and PS4, and I assume this will come to PS4, it's got to. There's no reason they wouldn't bring it to all
Microsoft
consoles.
did their whole first on console.
Exactly,
on
which means
Xbox.
it's coming to PS4 a month or two later.
that was a very big just trend at
Yes.
Gamescom, where it was everyone phrasing things weirdly, so you didn't quite know.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then there was a bunch of quotes after that.
Yeah, a lot of exclusive, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will be curious. With the Xbox One and PS4, you can get updates more rapidly. Updates have been easier for developers. You can change stuff in more close to real time, but I don't know. You're essentially making a different game at that point. You have to. The way patches work is going to be different on both consoles. There are going to be different problems between those games.
Like they're not able to hotfix like they are like.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem. Like, oh, we just broke something and we didn't. And like on PC, like there's like I think last night they patched something. They found out a bug and they patched it within like an hour or
in
two.
the middle of a match, it was like, oh, you have to update Dota. Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Hey, we got a problem. Hey, we got an update.
Yeah. So, in other news, Riot Games, who we all know and love, have said some very, very interesting things about Valve. Brian, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Sure. There was an article on Polygon about like Riot is not worried about like matching Dota 2's
prize pool.
Massive
for
prize
TI4,
pool,
which
yeah.
was 10, almost 11 million, and leagues. I don't know what's the number.
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not even
I
half
cannot
it.
remember.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not even half.
Yeah, it's about a third or so. And this was on Polygon, and there was a quote that said, we're not something about like we're not interested in begging our community.
A Riot representative tells
you.
Polygon the company is not interested in maintaining a large annual prize pool by, quote, begging its community for an aspect of the game that it has taken responsibility for.
Yikes.
Riot hopes to avoid the possible long-term issues that a crowd-funded prize pool could produce, we're told. According to the community manager they spoke to, this method potentially sets the company up for having a year with less money than the previous year, which by all accounts would be a, quote, disaster. I don't know that I think that's true.
I understand their logic behind it, but I feel like the way they poised it instead, it like, oh, we're not going to beg our community for handling the prize pool. It's like, you didn't have to do that. And
Yeah.
It's they made it sound so negative when it's such a profoundly positive thing. Like when the community feels like, hey, we really love this genre, we really love this game. We can buy a whole bunch of stuff and make it better by having a huge, bigger prize pool.
Yeah, well, you tweeted something this week, Brian, that I thought was pretty profound. You and I and James, like, we all bought compendiums because we love Dota.
Right.
Yep.
I don't see any. I've never talked to someone who was like, yeah, I really felt like Valve was asking me to.
Valve asked me, man, so I had to
They're
help.
asking me by making this amazing game that I fell in love with. Like, they're not like, hey, there's nothing that like will constantly pop up at you
Sure.
or anything like that.
And there was a feel good thing where it's like, oh, I'm contributing to the prize. Like, yes, you got stuff, which was nice, but you're also contributing to like, oh, the teams will get more money, and then be able to support esports as a whole. Like that was like a positive. Like, I feel good all around. It was like everyone got something.
Feel like you're contributing to the community.
I just have zero interest in the League versus Dota thing.
Yeah.
Like numbers wise,
Yeah.
anything. I don't care.
They're
both
different
awesome.
games. They
Yeah.
are trying to accomplish different things.
Exactly.
The companies operate in very different ways. I mean, Valve is very much trying to build a community that will be self-sustaining. They want the community to build the skins. They want the community to build the player association. They want the community to build the tournaments and the league and all of that stuff. Valve wants to make the game. Riot wants to build a community. They want to have the spectacle. They want to have everything. And that is awesome.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing right now is amazing, but they're trying to accomplish very different things. And both are valuable.
What's interesting to me about this is Mark Merrill, president and co-founder of Riot Games,
Yes.
on Twitter was like, that quote is BS, and if someone said that on our team, like he's like, we'll smack them or something like that.
Yeah.
I need to look up the exact quote. But
Jesus.
yeah. So I just think that's interesting, coming from the president of Riot. It
Yeah.
sounds like this might have been someone.
That's a dude whose thoughts I would love to hear about.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about a prize pool that is that big? What do you think about the prize pool potentially being smaller next year? What do you think about trying to match that kind of prize pool? Like, does it set a precedent?
I think there's also distance because I know the community, when it was brought up within like in the forums and stuff, they would say like, yeah, we would totally be down for this. Like we love the idea of the compendium and getting stuff and being able to support teams. But yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, and that's why every time somebody says like, well, would you buy a compendium for League of Legends? Sure, but that's not what that company and that game is about.
Right.
There's no reason to compare these companies aside from the fact that they are doing both different kinds of similar games differently and successfully. That's it.
I just want to put the actual quote out there.
Okay.
He was talking to Cyborg Matt, who's like a big Dota 2 community guy.
Yes.
Says, this is from, again, the president of Riot. That begging claim is stupid. No Rioter would say that, since we actually believe the compendium was smart and well done. I'd love to see the source, quotes, And if someone on our team did say something so dumb, we'd slap them ourselves.
Wow.
I love that because it's from an interview that Polygon did with someone from Riot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I'd like to see the source. Like, it's
you.
that guy. It's this dude that Emily named in the article.
Let me link it to you. It's right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the League Dota argument either. It's like it's such an opinion-based thing. Like it's like Coke and Pepsi or whatever, like competitive brands. Like you can argue it till you're blue in the face. No one's going to have the correct answer because it's all opinion and preference.
Yeah. Riot Games versus Valve is not a drama I'm interested in, but I'm increasingly fascinated by now as we move out of TI4, the International 4, watching Dota teams kind of fracture and split.
Yeah.
That has been really fascinating. Are you following any of this, Kyle? I know you're a big League guy, but
no, I'm not following it, but I definitely am interested in it because it's such an interesting dynamic in the pro scene, especially esports. Like watching these guys, they're essentially becoming free agents. Like, hey, check it out. This was my performance last year.
Yep.
Who wants me?
Yeah, so as of now, I think Navi, who's a big fan favorite team, is down to just 3 of its original members, or the core members. Kuroki and Puppy are now
and also
gone.
their core players.
Yes, that's
Core
true.
as in the core
Yeah,
role,
yeah.
not as in like best or anything.
Yeah. Kuroki and Puppy are gone. Burning from DK and RLTK from Vici Gaming are retiring. There's
Sing Sing.
Sing Sing is moving on to another team. Who knows? Like all these players that we saw at TI4 who were part of losing teams are all going somewhere else. And there's tons of rumors flying about who's going to go where and who's going to replace who on Navi and who's going to start their own team or who's going to join Cloud9. What do you guys make of all this as teams start to fracture? It's a weird thing for me as somebody who's new to esports, but you look at sports, normal, regular sports, quote, you see a lot of teams trading and you see guys go free agents, like LeBron last year, 2 years ago, whatever that was. That was a huge deal. But it was a normal thing. It's just a normal part of the sports process. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this in the esports?
I like it. It's variety. You also get the fact that you're going to start well, I don't know for a fact for the Dota fracturing of teams, but you start breaking up these powerhouses and these really good players start dissipating and going to different teams, and you have the potential of these very experienced veteran players who are going to be able to take newer players or amateur players or not as professional players and under their wings and show them the ropes with all their experience and their wins and their track record and all that stuff. Variety is always good.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see guys like Bulba, Pycat, and Sing Sing potentially forming their own team. And you look at that entire roster and you're like, okay, well, who's playing where? Because these are guys who typically play these positions, and they don't necessarily all line up with each other. So now a player who I'm used to seeing in mid might be playing a support role, like the 5 position or something.
Yeah.
There's potential there.
I think TI4 was probably a wake-up for a lot of teams, wake-up call. Because all of the teams that were usually like the dominant powerhouse teams from TI3 and like following that, they weren't in the finals.
That's the beauty of
make it
esports,
close.
though.
Yeah.
Very true.
The beauty of esports, it's like nothing's guaranteed. Like, oh, cool, you won last year. It doesn't matter this year. It's a different year.
But it's sort of like Navi was at the finals every single year up until this year.
And this year they got into the first upper bracket round in the finals and got knocked out.
It's just like certain teams' play styles work better when certain metas are like prominent.
Yeah.
And I think this year people saw like there's this crazy push meta. That, like, 'cause so many games were short this year, like under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a thing at TI3. I think people are kind of like just reassessing like who they're working with, who's leading them, who's their captain, who's drafting for them, and they're finding like maybe we'll find more success elsewhere. Like all these people know each other.
Yeah.
I went to TI4 early and went to like a meetup with Cloud9 and Alliance, and I was talking with Loda, who's the carry player on Alliance, and he's like, we play with each other all the time. We scrimmage.
Yeah, they scrim all the time.
They've known each other for decades since Dota. Like if you're not finding success on a team and you think you could pair up with some of your other friends, it's hard to blame them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Does this happen after LCS ever? Does the meta shift enough to require that? Like, oh, these players aren't working. Get rid of them. Get people in who can maybe be part of a stronger push meta versus teamfight meta.
You do see like players leaving. I can't name any off the top of my head, but
Sure.
you do see it happen. The meta, I don't feel like the meta changes very often in League. I don't know if you'd agree.
Yeah, there's like per patch there's like occasional like small shifts.
Yeah.
But that's also like it depends on how Riot sees the meta and how they want to focus it. It's a lot more like how they see it. Like you'll see stuff like I don't know. There were some weird things where people were running Vayne top.
Oh yeah.
Which is like an ADC.
Sure.
Which is like
That's not where you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And Yeah, but there's not a lot of changes. People tend to stay in the scene anyway. Hotshot, who played on CLG, he's just like a coach and also an owner, so he's just around.
They become permanent fixtures. A lot of these big names, they're even if they leave teams, they're gonna be involved in some way.
Skara is a huge example.
With the meta, what I've been seeing is it seems like a lot of the new champions that are getting made, the big thing that's happening with them is you're getting movement abilities. Gnar has his hop, Yasuo has his little dash and his all that stuff. So perhaps Riot's trying to change not change it because it's still always a part of it, but have the meta focus more on mobility and positioning, which has always been a big part, but it seems to become the more big focus when it comes to it.
I wonder at what point that starts to topple too heavily to one side. 5 heroes from now, if they're all based on mobility, suddenly the original cast starts to look a little frail. Like they're not.
That's been happening.
They can't do it.
That has been people who are good have been falling out of favor just because
they can't. They literally can't keep up with these new heroes.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about, I think, the league especially is that if you look at the Challenger League, you can actually see people who are probably beyond teams within the next, a year.
Yeah.
Because the people who are in Challenger are the best players.
Yeah.
And so, we have seen players come up and, you can see it. You can go in client and look at the Challenger League and be like, okay, look at all these names and see what spectate them and probably look them up on Twitch, and they're probably the ones that will be on teams within the next 6 months.
I'll be curious to see, if you look at a team like Navi and they're down 2 players, and maybe they're doing this to adopt 2 more players who are more they lean more toward that push inclination in the meta that we saw a lot of at TI4. I have to wonder if the meta changes over the next year will necessitate those kinds of adoptions. Like if you get 2 players who you want to be able to play a certain way and the meta changes because, they patched the Lycan and they patched these characters because they were too heavily slanted toward a certain play style, and now they're more balanced out, a little more even keel for everybody. At what point do you think oh shoot, we got these players and they're of no value to us now because everything changed?
I actually think we'll start to see that next week because it's Red Bull Battlegrounds, and we'll know who the new Navi lineup is. I think it's next week.
It's soon. I'm not sure. It's next week,
but I think next week will be when we start to see. Because we haven't really seen a lot of pro games since TI, so we don't really know how stuff's changed.
Huh.
Obviously, you guys know I don't play Dota, but I actually watched the TI4, and I loved it. It was super entertaining. I don't know the game and the moves and stuff, but it was really entertaining. But I did see the push meta you guys were talking about. It looked like a lot of the more successful teams were focusing on pressing their advantage when they had it. We're in the lead. Okay, let's hammer them.
Which is very, very different than you look at a record-setting team like Rocket in the LCS, a team that, rivaled kill counts, lowest deaths, things like that. And it's these are guys who are about team fights. They're about wiping an entire team, taking a tower, getting it back, and then wiping a team again. It's over and over and over about fights, and that was not what TI4 was about.
No, yeah. A lot of teams try to the grind them out method, like a war of attrition. Let's just get ahead of them as far as we can until they literally can't do anything. But TI4 looked like they were oh, we're ahead. We've got the advantage. Let's punish them for it. Let's push up the lane and take what we can right now, which is always a good strategy.
You know what's a good example of that? Pitlord meta versus Ace Ventura, the recreational.
In the recreational tournament.
That was
the Games Industry Dota 2 tournament, James.
Yes. Go check those out. Those were some quick games and were actually really good. They weren't completely TI4 meta picks, but it was a really good depth look at like how to push very fast.
Sure. Let's check in with the listeners. I guess at this point, we don't have listeners. We have viewers. Mm-hmm. Do we have listeners? Are we on iTunes? I literally don't know this. I know that we are on youtube.com/IGN Arena. Yeah. Leah had all the answers, and I'm just sitting here trying to like fill the gaps. I don't know. Are we on iTunes, James?
Yeah, pretty sure we are.
Okay, we're on iTunes, so we do have an audio. We do have listeners. We have viewers.
Sorry, listeners.
You can send emails, whether you're a listener or a
friends.
viewer, to arenapodcast@IGN.com.
I'll take handwritten notes, too.
You could write us letters. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do we give our office address out? Whatever.
Yeah, we do.
It's 625 2nd Street, floor 4, San Francisco, California, 94107. You can send us written letters. Address it to Brian Albert. Put a heart around it.
Love notes. Albert. Love notes with perfume on it work really well, right?
Great. A little bit of lipstick on the front. Or you can just email us, a lot like Shiloh did, and you can email Shiloh, the dog from the stories.
Great.
Anyway, you can contact us at arenapodcast@ign.com.
The Shiloh guy's gonna listen like that guy.
Yeah. Shiloh writes in and says, do you have any tips for jumping from League of Legends to Dota 2? I'm Silver 3 in League and feel that I'm a decent player, but when I hop into Dota, I'm awful. I figured I'd be a lot better than I am. His league name is Shiloh B if you want to become best friends.
You won't.
James, you didn't play any Dota, and then you started playing Dota.
Yeah, James, you were much more into League.
Yeah.
You made the jump. I have done the complete opposite, which is I started with Dota, bashed my head against the wall for 400 hours, and then made my jump over to League.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what experience would you recommend? And what is the solution if you're trying to learn Dota from League? What did you do?
Again, always reads Purge's Guide. Welcome to Dota 2, you suck.
Welcome to Dota 2, You Suck is the best thing written about Dota 2.
Again,
Little adversarial, but still.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like you play one character. I always recommend Tiny. Tiny has 2 skills. He does so much damage.
He just runs out of mana really quickly.
Yeah.
Also, Tiny's skills are like, one of them is the toss, which is not easy to use effectively.
Yeah, but
Get out of here, James.
Get outta here.
It makes sense.
The best starting hero is obviously Lich. Start with Lich.
Man, I need to just try Dota. I just need to buckle.
We will
and do
baby
it.
step you through it if you want to learn.
Oh, I'd love to do that. That'd be interesting to see. Like, hey, take someone who's bad at League and put them on Dota.
We need to trade summoner names too, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But realize that Dota relies much heavier, like much more emphasis on animation. Like there is an animation for everything, and it will take a lot longer. Like you cannot cancel a lot of animations. You can, but it's like harder and
In Dota?
Yeah, there's just more. There's more. Like
Last hitting is really hard in Dota.
Yeah, you it can be pretty easy in League because everyone kind of has a very short animation, and Lena's in Dota. Lena's animation is super long. It's like a wind up. It's like this. Like that is the animation, and it takes that amount of time. So you got to wait.
If you aren't watching the video, James just pretended to throw a softball.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. but like at a slow speed.
Yeah.
So just realize that like turn animations are different. Like I was messing around in League last night. Like they're pushing a tower, and we lost the game. But I was like, I just finished a game of Dota, and I was like, all right, I wonder like how much time it takes to turn, and it's like a quarter of the time in Dota to turn that it takes to.
So
turn
turning
in
the
League.
actual character in Dota is really slow.
So you know how you can just like go bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
There's a turn
it's
animation.
like this in Dota.
Like they have to step to turn.
Man,
Weird, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
but it's
weird.
such a minor thing that sounds like a non-issue, but it is like core to the idea of how those characters move.
There's
I
some
don't know.
characters where it's really bad for. Like Venomancer used to be a boat, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like an airplane with wings right now.
He's the
Or
best.
airplane with wings.
An airplane?
A torpedo with wings.
There you go. Sure. Yeah, I
long
mean,
day.
it's not terribly easy to bounce from League to Dota. I mean, yes, they're both MOBAs, but it's the equivalent of saying I'm going to jump from Battlefield to Call of Duty, and I'm going to be a pro in both. Because I'm good at one game, I'll be good at the other. No, there are core tenets to those games that are very different, and the community behavior is very different, and the meta is very different.
I always say this, like I wish I'd played more League so I could speak more authoritatively to this, but Dota it's easier to snowball or to be the victim of someone else snowballing.
Yeah, seriously.
Easier?
So if you die in League, you lose some gold.
Yeah.
No.
No.
In Dota, you lose gold.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. The
yeah.
enemy gets gold then.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like you're worse off and your enemy's better off.
Yeah.
So the next time
There's
you fight,
a transaction in your death.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know that.
and in League it doesn't work. The enemy doesn't get the gold
Yeah.
from killing you. Correct?
So no, the enemy gets
Or
the
they
gold.
get
You
gold.
don't
You don't lose
You don't
any.
lose gold.
And so
there's only one side of it is crappy in League.
Yeah.
Both sides are crappy in Dota.
Yes.
And so it's so much easier to just find yourself in a position where you can't do anything.
Yeah. And
Man,
if you get
that-
killed 2 or 3 times in a row, you're broke, and they're just flush.
So
Float.
it takes it from your gold pool and gives it to them basically. Right.
It's
in
not
Dota?
like a direct,
Not like a 1-for-1.
It's
but-
not like they stole your ATM card and stole. But there's like you lose a percentage and they gain a certain amount for
Man,
the kill.
that was one of my biggest gripes in League was like the snowballing, and if it's worse in
It's
Dota,
crazy in Dota,
Oh
man.
my
And then there are
God.
characters who like specifically will snowball out of control, like someone like Slark, or people who like gain like Pudge will steal strength every kill that he gets.
Yep.
And strength increases his damage and health.
Silencer
So
has
you're
the same
actually
thing with
stealing
his
stats, by the
intelligence.
way.
Jeez,
Yeah.
man. Oh, so the person you're taking from has that taken away from
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Jesus.
in some cases,
Sometimes.
yes. In some cases, no.
Oh,
Like when
wow.
Legion Commander wins a duel, if I'm Legion Commander and I duel you and I get the kill, Like, it basically just turns off all of our skills and it becomes a fist fight, like a right-click fight.
Oh my
If I
God.
kill you and I get the victory, I get X amount of stats toward my strength. If you win, you get them.
Oh, so
So you're fighting for a bonus that either person could
Her, it's
get,
actually
but you
just
don't lose
permanent
anything.
damage, but
Sorry, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
damage.
I think it's 12.
I might.
Yeah, it's 12 max.
I might tonight just buckle down and play
Yeah.
some.
So I
play
think
some
that's
Dota.
what people are like when they come from League. They're like, I died, like whatever.
punishing.
Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like figuring this out. But it's like
Yeah,
you're digging yourself into a hole.
There are infinite scalers in League, like
Oh, yeah.
Nasus and
Oh, don't hide, yeah,
Vengar and stuff like that. But it's a very weird thing in Dota where you're actually, rather than like, oh, I got a CS with my Q, and so I as Nasus, so I get another damage stack. No, that's like you're just getting worse and worse and worse as they're killing you, and it's just please end this.
You said Nasus, but I do believe you mean Susan.
Nasus backwards. is-
Nasus backwards is Susan. It's so good. We're going to start winding down. But before we go, we're going to do a little bit of Know Your Lore.
Uh-oh.
Which, sorry, we're going to do Dota again, Kyle. So
I'll just pretend like I know.
Yeah, you just... Vigar. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna nod and smile. And be
We should do we'll do a League one in the future.
Yeah, and totally email us your suggestions for lore that we can quiz the cast on. arenapodcast@ign.com. And you can subscribe to us on youtube.com/IGN Arena, where you can watch these fools fail to understand this character. He that burns is not consumed, devours and is never sated, kills and is beyond all judgment. That is not a sentence. Lucifer brings doom to all those in the world who stand against him, bearing away souls from the tip of his fiery sword. He is a fallen one, a once favored general from a realm behind the light, cast out for the sin of defiance. He would not kneel. I don't know what any of that means. 6 times his name was tolled from the great bells of Vashendol. 66 times his wings were branded until only smoking stumps remained. Without wings, he slipped loose from the tethers that bound him within the light, and he fell screaming to earth. A crater in the desert, paradise lost.
That was very melodramatic.
Oh man. Okay.
Now he acts without mercy, without motive. And the only living being able to move freely between the 7 dark dominions. Lashed by inescapable needs, twisted by unimaginable talents, Blank carries his own hell with him wherever he goes.
Acolyte of Pain.
Defiant to the last,
I don't know.
eventually the world will belong to Blank.
Mundo.
I'm
Nasus.
gonna go with Doom.
Doom.
It's Doom. It's obviously Doom, because nobody's lore could ever be that preposterously satanic. Thank you.
Lucifer.
Also,
Just said
Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Is his
Yeah.
name Lucifer? Is that what
His
that
name
was?
is Lucifer.
Okay, I didn't know that. Man, you know so
Not
much
even-
more about Dota lore than I do.
Not even beating around the bush, just straight up just Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Zeus is in the game. That's kind of
Just,
weird, right?
just the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple more like that too. Not, obviously not like Olympians, but they're like, I mean, Mjolnir is in the game.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, where's Thor? all these other legendary things. There are loose connections to like real world mythology, which I dig.
It's such a mishmash. It's
Yeah,
like
it's great.
Yeah, it's also like a lot of the lore comes from different people. It's not like one dude who has the lore book. Probably it's like we who wrote Magnus's
Greg Kasavin
Kasavin.
from
Yeah.
Supergiant Games.
Yeah, he wrote the Magnus.
He wrote
lore.
Magnus's lore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Magnus, man. He's so
never played
terrifying.
Magnus.
He's so terrifying. That's our show for this week. This was IGN Arena episode 10. Don't forget to subscribe to us on youtube.com/IGN Arena, where you can find all sorts of videos. We had some Chaos Champions Online. Is that the name of that game? Chaos Champions Online. It is a MOBA. It's a new MOBA that is very, very rooted in original Dota, and like one of the offshoot maps from that era. So we got a trailer for that on IGN Arena. All sorts of things that Brian and I did with James from the International 4. Lots of League of Legends stuff.
The video that you did with Brian Altano on playing the
For Fates Forever.
Fates
We
Forever.
made Brian Altano play his first ever MOBA match on an iPad, and it went spectacularly, so check that out.
And then my favorite thing on the channel is Marty casting a international game.
That was pretty funny.
Marty
It's
Sleva,
the best.
who knows nothing about Dota, giving us live shoutcasting, better shoutcasting than I could ever do for a live Dota match.
Yep.
You can email the podcast at arenapodcast@ign.com. And Dante, a fan of ours, started a Facebook group. So if you search Facebook for IGN Arena, join that group. Start grouping up with friends in there. There's a bunch of us already in there. Leah's in there. Justin
I'll join.
Davis from IGN is
I'll
in there.
join.
Dante, I'll join.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know about
Make
it.
new
Yeah, I'll join.
friends.
Yep,
Party
definitely.
up in whatever MOBA you prefer to play.
You can follow Mitch on Twitter at MitchyD. You're Kyle that Kyle.
That's me.
Albino Albert.
That's me.
You
And
almost
I'm
forgot.
James_Faulkner.
James_Faulkner. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be back next week with new topics. Maybe a guest. I don't know. I'm just going to see what I can do about bringing somebody in. Maybe add a 5th chair. We'll see.
There's a rotating chair right over there.
Yeah, a little red.
Is it literally a rotating chair?
It
It
will rotate.
is.
Yeah.
It's even
It's
labeled.
red, and it says 3rd chair, even though there are 5 chairs in here now.
All right. Okay. We'll see what we can make
Also
happen
says
with that
Podcast
wacky chair.
Beyond.
It does, but it belongs to us now. We're claiming it right now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week.
Instead
Brian
of
has
saying
one more thing.
goodbye, why don't we say something? Why don't we sign off with something?
Do we want to come up with like a catchphrase?
Why don't we just say like
See you later, friends.
GLHF or something like that?
Oh, good luck, have fun.
GG.
GG.
Radiant
GLHF.
victory.
I like good luck,
GG,
have
no
fun.
read.
That's fine with me. We'll figure it out next time.
That'll work. All right. We'll work on this. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.